And now let's bring in a pair of former congressmen, David Jolly of Florida and Max Rose of New York. Good to have you both here with me. Congressman Jolly, I'll start with you. What is your reaction just as you're observing everything that is playing out in your old stomping grounds?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the eve of Christmas, Hanukkah, or Groundhog Day, because we see this with Republican politics. I think there's a lot of dynamics to keep in mind. First, Donald Trump presided over the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, so he's not scared of that. It was 35 days, I believe, in 2018 and in 2019. He's not worried about a government shutdown. His tell, as late as overnight, was that he wants the debt ceiling lifted through 2029. He knows that because this is a president who, during his 4 years of his first term, added in 25%, roughly 25% of our entire national debt over 230 years was done in the first term of Donald Trump. So he wants the freedom to bust through all the debt caps when he's president. So those are the dynamics that are informing his decision. He doesn't care about a shutdown, and he wants to be able to spend freely and explode the debt. The other dynamic, which is fascinating here, is the reality is the only way the government stays open is for Mike Johnson to work with Democrats. We've seen that 3 times during the last 2 years on Ukraine funding, on another government shutdown, and on raising the debt ceiling. It was the Republican speaker working with Hakeem Jeffries and Democrats. He doesn't have the votes to pass something through the House that Senate Democrats would also approve. So here's the real trick. Here's the real nuclear problem. Mike Johnson is standing for re-election to Speaker on January 3rd.
Just one more layer here.
But this is really important. Mike Johnson might decide to save his speakership. He shuts down the government as well through January 3rd. Gets reelected as Speaker because now Republicans see him as having a backbone and a spine, and then negotiates how to reopen the government. Because if he fixes this with Hakeem Jeffries now, he's likely not Speaker in the next Congress. The only vote that affirmed him to be the next Speaker was the internal Republican House caucus. He has to go to the House floor and get a majority of members. If he strikes a deal on this with Hakeem Jeffries now, he possibly loses his speakership on January 3rd.
You point out there are a lot of internal and personal motivations for different key players in all of this. And of course, it's the American people whose lives are hanging in the balance of, something like somebody's job ambitions or career ambitions. Congressman Rose, let's remind everybody, though, Democrats still have power in the Senate. They still have the White House. So Trump isn't in office just yet. What is the Democrats' best move in this moment?
Well, look, Congress is largely built on trust and relationships. And what the Republican Party and the Republican leadership have done now is completely broken those relationships, particularly with House Democratic leadership. So they are in every right to take a step back and say, if those negotiations that we had meant nothing and you could discard them based off one tweet, you solve this yourself. Now, what is shocking, though, amidst all that, is that the Republican Party is patently not ununified. 38 Republicans just voiced their opposition to the incoming president-elect Donald Trump. And those are representative of the Republican base. Are they now treating Donald Trump like a lame duck president? Or do they care about something else? Irrespective of what the answer to that is, they are not unified and they are incapable of addressing this themselves. And that is their problem.
Trump has said that the pressure, though, is on whoever is currently president. Is he wrong?
He should shut up then. Yeah. He should shut up. If this is not his issue, if this is not representative of his agenda, don't talk until January 20th. But the second that he got involved, this entire thing got wrecked. And now he realizes, shocker, that causing a government shutdown during peak holiday season is not good politics, so he's trying to step away from it. The number one person that he should be unifying his message with, though, is Elon Musk, because that's the person who started this, along with Vivek Ramaswamy. And, he's the one that empowered them. So this is his problem.
Speaking of Musk, just a couple of days ago, Congressman Jolly, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, was sort of bragging about being on a text chain and proudly throwing that out, that he was on a text chain with Elon Musk. And now you have major Republicans who are actually calling for Musk to replace Johnson as Speaker. What does that tell you about the sort of GOP sentiment toward Speaker Johnson.
Republicans in disarray. I mean, first of all, Speaker Johnson got the job because nobody else wanted it. And that's also a problem they would face if they get rid of Johnson now. Who could actually follow him? But look, with Elon Musk, you have a couple things. There's an asymmetry between money and democracy. You're seeing the outsized influence of money on down the line members of the House. But you're also seeing raw ignorance prevail. I mean, they actually thought that because November happened, all of a sudden the numbers in the House and Senate changed. The math is the same as it was the day before the election, as Max points out, until January 20th. I think the interesting thing here really will come down to, there is a bill that will pass. Mike Johnson kind of leaked it out this morning. It includes three things: keep the government open through March, a farm bill extension of 1 year, and then disaster aid for the hurricanes. Pretty basic stuff. Not all the things Democrats wanted, but all the things Democrats support. The votes you lose there are Republicans. Republicans don't want that. And so that puts Johnson in a position of keeping the government open with Jeffries. We're right back there. The outsized influence of Elon Musk is very real, dictates a lot for the next 4 years, dictates some injuries, I think, to our democracy. I think
if there isn't a total combustion that happens between Musk and Trump.
Right, that blow up could happen. But I think Hakeem Jeffries has some decisions to make, but Mike Johnson does as well. I go back to my first point. If Mike Johnson's to keep his speakership, he likely has to shut down the government. It's bad for the American people.
And we know there's the speaker vote on January 3rd, so that's just around the corner. Former Congressman David Jolly and former Congressman Max Rose, thank you both.